Naofumi Iwatani is a typical sophomore in college who idolizes a life full of academics and casual gaming. One day, he heads to the library, hoping to indulge in some light reading. Instead, he stumbles upon a curious book titled The Records of the Four Holy Weapons. As he flips through the pages, an unexpected phenomenon occurs. Naofumi is whisked away to another world. Suddenly, he's no longer in the library, he's standing among strangers, holding a shield. Naofumi looks around, bewildered. He's joined by three others, Ren Amaki, Motoyasuke Tamura, and Itsuki Kawasumi, each equipped with a weapon. Together, they discover they've been summoned to this unfamiliar realm to serve as legendary heroes. The situation is urgent, they're told. The world faces imminent destruction, threatened by calamities known as waves. The four heroes are brought before King Alt-Cray Melremark XXXI. Naofumi finds himself particularly irritated by the king's haughty demeanor. Yet, the task is clear, they must develop their abilities to save the kingdom from devastation. Each hero bears one of the legendary weapons, sword, spear, bow, and shield, but Naofumi quickly realizes his shield isn't ideal for attack. It's a defensive tool. The discussion continues as they try to make sense of the world they're in. The kingdom provides a brief explanation of their quest, and the heroes protest their lack of clarity. Nonetheless, the king emphasizes the gravity of their mission and dismisses them to rest and prepare for their roles. Naofumi reluctantly follows suit with his companions. As the night falls, Naofumi embraces the strangeness of the situation. He's caught in contemplation about his role as the shield hero. The following day, the heroes gather again to strategize their course of action. They receive detailed manuals for their weapons, and the mystery deepens. Naofumi realizes the world operates much like a game, complete with skill trees and leveling systems. However, he's disheartened to find out that there are limitations to his shield class. It's primarily focused on defense. Confronted by this revelation, Naofumi feels alienated and insecure about his worth compared to the others. They discuss their gaming knowledge. Ren mentions a VR MMO called Brave Star Online, a game unfamiliar to Naofumi. Each hero shares their unique experiences and references worlds and events not known to the others, hinting at different realities from which each hero hails. Their discussion quickly veers toward speculation about their circumstances. Motoyasu flirts with theories about the rules they're supposed to follow, yet he treats the endeavor lightly, much to Naofumi's dismay. As they carry on, Naofumi ponders over his perceived handicap with the shield, reflecting on the conditions of the virtual adventure they have undertaken. Essentially, Naofumi senses isolation in his new role. He considers himself just a shield, a class known to be far less glamorous or offensive in nature. His companions offer insights, yet he struggles with his defenses, both literally and metaphorically, as he contemplates strategies to elevate his position. Before long, tension mounts as the trio shows camaraderie that doesn't extend to Naofumi. Their cheer quickly shifts toward contempt and mockery. Naofumi grows uneasy with the realization that his calling may become a formidable trial of survival, with both inhuman and human obstacles ahead. Naofumi Iwatani, absorbed in a discussion about strategy and game mechanics with the other summoned heroes, feels the need to focus on efficiency as they delve into the world they've been brought into. Each hero must adapt to their unique weapon and skill sets in this unfamiliar realm. Although they've had little time to figure things out, Naofumi senses a shift is necessary. Every workout has a purpose, he muses, resolving to put his best foot forward. Eager to embark on their adventure, Naofumi and the others see that the shift in culture and customs will require them to be flexible. They're guided by an attendant to dine with the other knights, a moment that signals their involvement in something bigger than them. The dining hall resembles something out of a fairy tale, a lavish setting adorned with a grand feast. Naofumi reflects on how this strange new world holds more surprises than he anticipated. During the dinner, Naofumi observes the extravagant display of food prepared by the castle's cooks. Enjoying a lavish meal, he appreciates the respite from thinking about their dangerous journey ahead. The idea of mingling with a world so different yet seemingly welcoming leaves Naofumi contemplating the seriousness of his predicaments and ambitions. After dinner, the heroes, fatigued from the day's events, ponder the comforts they might expect back in their room, with Motoyasu hoping for a bath. As they prepare for the night, they all seem hopeful about the adventures awaiting them. As dawn breaks, the day of adventure begins. The summoned heroes are greeted by knights and fellow adventurers in the audience chamber. The air is thick with anticipation as Naofumi and the others bow before the king who will sponsor their perilous quest. In a surprising turn, adventurers voluntarily form teams around the other heroes, yet none step towards Naofumi. Feeling the weight of rejection, he finds himself alone. There's buzz about the shield hero's perceived lack of capability compared to the others, a rumor clearly circulating amongst the gathered crowd. Motoyasu, seeing Naofumi's plight, suggests they share party members, allowing Naofumi a chance to gain experience and comrades. This unspoken camaraderie is both a blessing and a subtle reminder of Naofumi's prospective struggle. A woman named Mine voluntarily joins him, offering a glimmer of partnership. Trusting her seems like the only option for Naofumi as he desires to prove himself despite the daunting predictions. Later, Mine brings Naofumi to a shop in town, looking to equip themselves for what lies ahead. The shopkeeper, knowledgeable and amicable, aids them, as well as alerts Naofumi to the rules limiting his weaponry to his shield alone. Naofumi wrestles with the realities of his constraints after a failed attempt to handle an iron sword. Mine suggests armor more fitting for Naofumi's current setup, a chainmail suit which seems like a reasonable investment considering Naofumi's need for defense. The shop owner encourages him in skilled foray, requesting Naofumi's trust. Armed now, Naofumi feels his adventure is truly beginning. Stepping out to explore, Mine, seasoned and more experienced in the ways of this world, leads Naofumi into the fields. The landscape unfolds before him like a scene from Hokkaido. The thrill of battling monsters, an unpolished dream in his mind, comes into focus as they encounter first-level creatures known as orange balloons. Engaging the exaggeratedly named creatures isn't quite the difficulty spike he anticipated. With Mine's help, they frustrate and pop the menace using various strategic strikes, Naofumi even experiencing firsthand the quirky immunity of his shield as the balloon's bite is unable to penetrate. Ren, another hero, breezes past Naofumi, dispatching a cluster with ease, exhibiting further proof of his guild's comparative edge. Grappling with feelings of insignificance, Naofumi absorbs and utilizes the broken remains of the monsters to develop his shield's potential. They continue farming smaller creatures until backlit skies draw them home. The shared effort, when all said and done, boosts Naofumi's morale, a nascent chance to unexpectedly grow into the hero he's meant to become. Back in town with loot from the foray, Naofumi sells off orange balloons at roughly simulated shop stops along the way. Entering again into weapon and supply shops, he is briefly absorbed by Mine's negotiation for better deals. Naofumi matches her willingness to haggle despite being unversed, and they both wind up satisfied with the results. The onset of evening air marks another chapter. Naofumi, scanning his future, comes one step closer to understanding not just the rules of this game-like world, but the allies like Mine that he must depend on, and perhaps precautions to be wary of, with every turn around castle walls and every new sunrise that nudges the adventure along. Naofumi Iwatani, the shield hero, haggles over prices with a weapon shop owner for better gear. Mine, his companion, insists on durable equipment since it'll improve their chances of survival. Naofumi, recalling his online gaming skills, is adept at getting bargains and finally strikes a deal. Mine seems delighted with their purchases and suggests they eat dinner, speak with the others, and rest before starting their adventure. They book an inn, sharing a room to balance their sparse funds. After dinner, they head to their rooms. Naofumi, while reviewing a map, contemplates starting with easier monsters in the nearby fields to level up quickly. The next day, with new equipment ready, Mine urges Naofumi to lead as a frontline fighter, given his shield's defensive advantage. Naofumi, uncertain about drinking wine offered by Mine, opts out, expressing his dislike for alcohol. Their conversation ends with plans for the next day's endeavors as Mine retires to sleep. That night, Naofumi, feeling anxious, struggles to fall asleep in a foreign land. He finally drifts off, only to be startled awake by sounds of revelry outside. Restless, he eventually falls back asleep. In the morning, Naofumi awakes in disarray to find his belongings stolen, including clothes, chainmail, and money. Alarmed, he rushes to alert Mine, only to find her missing. As he searches for help, knights appear, accusing him of being summoned by the king. Dragging him to the castle in his underwear, Naofumi faces accusations. Before the king and audience, Mine feigns innocence and claims Naofumi assaulted her. Shien Motoyasu, the spear hero, casts Naofumi in an incriminating light. Attempting to defend himself, Naofumi desperately insists on his innocence but to no avail. Everyone, including the other heroes Ren and Itsuki, seem to side with Mine and Motoyasu. Naofumi, fuming from the betrayal, realizes the grim truth that the people he thought might understand him have turned against him. Unjustly declared guilty without trial, Naofumi's anger boils over. He asks to be sent home but is harshly told it's impossible unless he defeats the looming waves of calamity. Frustrated, he resolves to prove himself, no matter how grim his circumstances. He storms out, determined to forge his path regardless of the adversity, flinging his last piece of cash at Motoyasu. His path now altered, Naofumi pledges to fight and survive one way or another. A week later, slander shadows Naofumi as he navigates through town. People whisper, reminding him how he's been painted as a villain. At a weapon shop, he secures costuming to cover himself properly, determined to level up and gather resources. Naofumi trains hard using whatever meager materials he can gather. He becomes more tactical, using small balloons to vanquish weaker creatures in the field. His strategic usage and understanding of his shield's evolving capabilities enable him to progress slowly but steadily. Particularly, Naofumi benefits from the newfound functionality of a leaf shield and other shield types obtained through patient grinding. Despite many original expectations dashed, he pushes onward, exploiting every game-like mechanic to remain resilient. Even as he dines cheaply from hard-earned gains, the bitter aftermath of betrayal haunts Naofumi. Everything tastes dull, leaving him to power through spiteful trials towards uncertain redemption. As the story unfolds, Naofumi agrees to let a man join his party, but he remains skeptical about forming alliances, haunted by past betrayals. Nevertheless, Naofumi decides to keep calm, banking on performance-based rewards to ensure loyalty. In a world full of dishonest people, he's cautious about trust. Arguments ensue, but amidst the tension, Naofumi keeps moving forward, determined to find his way. Over the next few days, Naofumi settles into a routine of generating money. He finally gathers up 40 pieces of silver, managing to recoup some of the funds lost to Motoyasu. Despite his efforts, progress is slow, his attack power weakens with each failed attempt to hunt monsters. Without battles and subsequent experience points, his level stagnates, fueling frustration. On a fateful day, a wealthy, silk-clad gentleman intercepts Naofumi, offering something more useful instead of mere money. Intrigued yet cautious, Naofumi listens as the man proposes a purchase, a slave. The trade sparks curiosity about demihumans and beastmen, creatures forced into servitude yet integral in battle. Slavery laws reflect the world's harsh hierarchy, presenting rules for obedience under severe penalties if broken. Naofumi accompanies the stranger to a mysterious tent lined with enslaved figures, including beastmen and children with demeaning defects. The parade of cages unveils tragic characters, sparking Naofumi's conflicted emotions. Drawn particularly to a raccoon girl, he contemplates. Heartlessness seems appealing, but the thought repulses him. Choosing the girl struggling with panic attacks, now identified as Raphtalia, Naofumi seals her fate with a painful contract spell, understanding her role isn't just decorative. Naofumi's mind drifts back to betrayal wounds, but something in Raphtalia's eyes connects with him. In the next phase of preparation, Naofumi outfits Raphtalia with weapons, focusing on necessity, not luxury. Essence lies in action, and a test against a red balloon monster confirms their meager yet functional partnership. Raphtalia, intersecting fear with trembling resolve, bears witness to improvement, even receiving reassurance nestled in compliments and reluctant camaraderie. The two share a timid meal in town later, Raphtalia's curiosity flickering in her gaze. Normalization of such kindness bewilders her. She finally, cautiously accepts sustenance, indirectly tracing a foundation for mutual dependence. Raphtalia's reluctance gradually melts under a simple meal, juxtaposing simplicity against the complex slavery bonds they've acknowledged. Their synergy sharpens as Naofumi and Raphtalia make tentative progress. The world expanded with chaos, loneliness, and occasional hope starts responding to their presence. One step at a time, they forge ahead, pursuing the challenging road to strength and understanding, both needing what the other can offer, a chance at new beginnings amidst a landscape strewn with distrust and trials. Naofumi and Raphtalia finish their meal in a bustling restaurant and decide to set out for the fields. Raphtalia, in good spirits, hums a tune as they walk, but upon reaching the open grassy fields, she shivers slightly with trepidation, likely due to memories of lurking monsters from past encounters. Naofumi reassures her, emphasizing that she's now protected from any danger. In the fields, Raphtalia's tasked with helping to fight red balloons, persistent little creatures. Naofumi encourages her, giving simple instructions on how to attack. As she stabs the balloons, the thrill of battle elevates her level to 2. Naofumi's red small shield also benefits, gaining defense power and learning new characters' insights about its conditions, strengths, and weaknesses. Raphtalia, still filled with curiosity and slight amazement, asks Naofumi what she can learn from his shield. He explains that he's bound to wield and improve the legendary shield, a holy weapon, though he presently feels it lacks strength compared to others. Despite his insecurities, determination fuels his words as he says, "I'm one of the 4 holy things." In the dense thickets at the forest's edge, Naofumi sets Raphtalia against more balloons and hones her battle instincts. When they encounter another fearsome critter, Lumush, he again steps back, letting Raphtalia take point. Her achievement in defeating it reveals more shield advancements, integrating understanding and unlocking potential like plant appraisal, a benefit fit for survival and medicine crafting. As the day stretches on, Raphtalia shows evident signs of exhaustion, yet determination keeps her close to Naofumi as he collects more herbs and medicinal plants. By day's end, they walk to the river. In this break, Raphtalia jumps into the waters while Naofumi tries his hand at fishing to prepare dinner. The gentle river ripples in harmony with their bond, one of protection and budding trust. Later, by the flickering campfire light, Naofumi experiments to create healing medicines by using mushrooms and herbs they've acquired. He stumbles through trial and error, producing a concoction that, although weak, is a testament to his resourceful spirit. Raphtalia takes the medicine and, dodging a cold, nods in relief. The crackling fire wards off the night's chill, an intimate backdrop to their morphing alliance as they eat the fresh-cooked fish. However, shadows of Raphtalia's past re-emerge as she mutters painfully in her sleep, beseeching the presence of lost parents. Haunted cries blanket the quiet night, disrupting their fragile peace. Naofumi reaches to comfort her, drawing her close amidst the eerie growl of nighttime balloons that spy an opportunity in her distress. Calm whimpers subside as Naofumi, focusing on soothing and shielding Raphtalia, handles the threats that loom. Morning creeps in. Raphtalia, drowsy and freed from immediate fear, agrees to trust Naofumi for the day's tough schedule, preparing more medicine for sale with guarded hope of sustaining their venture. Humor cloaks concern as Naofumi draws her interest to things like children's trinkets, a harmless reminder of innocence, sparking joy and quiet hope in the straightforward gesture of gifting. Returning to town and its busy rhythm, they visit the apothecary. There Naofumi assesses skills in medicine, marketing their crafted mixtures to climb out of harsh conditions for a more secure future. He inquires about estimates for tools, equipment that, though initially considerable in cost, promises returns if practiced wisely in synthesis. Raphtalia trails attentively, eyes eager, when higher-stakes operational tack draws her back, a colorful, if rough, balloon skin coincidental find soon morphs to industrious pleasure as newcomers on white positions engage with various potions replenishments. Their activities culminate in the forging of a solid bond over battle experience. Touched by childlike wonder, their ambitious tasks shadow history's echoes as events progress. Naofumi fashions weapons new and batting materials into shields, extracting newfound protection trademarks to associate within records of expanding abilities. Balancing hazard and predictability threatens progress. Once lands they traverse are anew like darkened keeps, asking the tough separates advancement and finance in layered ambient scenery. Together, they labor further ingraining steady duties happenstance amidst conventional grant. Should lined ages reclaim an easier set ambience, which protection looters rapidly form into counts that signal distinct abilities. Consistency pave goals resume among trusts beyond damage structure readiness. Occasion sparks appeal akin, complicity learned infests optimistic goals would both Naofumi's protector invent whilst rewarded facets blossom and past riddles surface pleasantly recovered warm roots often pair embellish. Despite endeavor, all feels just like fair measurement in a recent day marked their humble optimism achieved in not one achievement, completion satisfying core challenging tenuously marked releases, a thread frail wrapping eyes where chances spontaneously design. Night results meld newly quirky favorite as weather turns edge without subsequent impassibility mellow most adventure whilst element safety forego dexterity linking closely, it waits deference since renew welfare charge bonded halves place lead. Far unbeknownst fragrance, breathy heart paces thorough dusk titan practices release granting moments exchanges much removed revised prescribed repayment sunrise encased known month path nurturing last, confident, resolves timeless epic improvement I prompt positive journey prevailing. Naofumi Iwatani finds himself working diligently to understand his newfound abilities as the shield hero. He's attempted to concoct medicine and, after some trial and error, managed to create a few nourishing drinks. Although the quality isn't perfect, he's optimistic. At least it helps cure fatigue when drinking, he muses. As the night unfolds, Naofumi notices that his abilities are mostly status-related, boosting attributes like stamina and SP are recognizing the potential. He decides he needs to give this more thought, especially since his goal as a hero is to strengthen himself whenever possible. Within the quiet confines of the room, Raphtalia, the young demi-human girl accompanying Naofumi, begins to cry in her sleep. Her distressed sobs wake Naofumi, prompting him to comfort her gently. Raphtalia's tragic past, filled with loss and struggle, often manifests in her dreams. Understanding her plight, Naofumi reassures her, knowing well the struggle she's faced. By morning, Naofumi discovers an embarrassing situation. Raphtalia, having reverted to a childlike state in the comfort and safety of the night, has wet the bed. She's mortified, attempting repeatedly to apologize. Firmly but gently, Naofumi insists, I won't be mad. He focuses instead on resolving the morning chaos, getting fresh sheets and apologizing to the innkeeper. As they cook breakfast, Raphtalia's stomach rumbles with growing hunger. Even through her embarrassment, Naofumi encourages her to eat and hands her a bottle of bitter medicine, something she's not fond of. Yet, grudgingly, Raphtalia complies, knowing it's necessary for her health. Following their morning preparatory tasks, Naofumi and Raphtalia head into the woods and fields, launching into combat against various monsters known as usapils, creatures resembling unnaturally large rabbits. During one terrifying encounter, Raphtalia bravely tackles the usapil, overcoming her fear and hesitations to protect them both. Higher! Higher, she shouts, her resolve clear as she stabs at it. Here, Naofumi realizes he must reassure Raphtalia and himself about their mutual need to become stronger. His urgency is palpable, they need to prepare for an impending wave of disaster threatening their world. The pair succeed together in battle. Raphtalia comes to deeply trust Naofumi, showing willingness to fight by his side. Despite their victories, Naofumi reflects on the complexities and responsibilities of mastering the shield. He can't lose her, referring, perhaps unintentionally, to Raphtalia not merely as a companion in battle but as someone irreplaceably vital on his journey. Together, they clean and cook the meat from their hunts. Even while tailgating in these forests, Raphtalia, excited by the meal's simple pleasures, revels in this adventurous life. Naofumi sees her spirits lifting and senses real growth in her courage and strength, away from fear, towards a willing fearlessness. Sleeping around a crackling fire, they protectively share watch duties. The dark and tranquility enshroud them peaceably, contrasting sharply against the intensity of daylight survival. At this juncture, mutual warmth and reliability solidify between them. Morning arrives with lively anticipation. Naofumi appreciates Raphtalia's dedication and eagerness. Despite being a novice, she holds the weapon with budding eagerness, not just for survival's sake, but coming into her own as an adventurer. Slowly, together, they begin to thrive. Later, in town, they sell their collected loot, sharing their riches strategically. They can now afford basic but vital supplies. Both appreciate that, while Naofumi stands unscathed in battles, ensuring planning for the future remains essential. Their adventure continues into bustling marketplace exchanges and trading. Raphtalia, now closely bonded, stands at Naofumi's side. The merchants acknowledge the powerful, steadfast duo forming between her and the shield hero. Planning for newly acquired swords and shields unfolds with the shopkeeper. Naofumi's reputation is taking root. Despite jesting about these heroes' novice game knowledge, the shopkeepers recognize potential power and emerging strength. Raphtalia, surprisingly adept in handling the sword without needing direct guidance, displays her building bravery, no longer shackled by fear or doubt, letting adventurous prospects guide them onward. Naofumi's bond and reliance on Raphtalia grow stronger, symbols of teamwork vital for them both. The road ahead, although shaded in foreboding events, speaks now to a pairing ready, both with skills and partnership aptitudes, to handle best whatever trials await. Naofumi Iwatani heads to a coal mine on the outskirts of town, hoping to find resources to sell. Rumor has it that the mine is infested with monsters, a fact which doesn't discourage Naofumi. Together with his companion Raphtalia, they make their way to the mine's entrance. Upon arriving, they find the entrance locked, causing Naofumi to pry the door open himself. Despite its abandonment and age, Naofumi believes it's worth exploring, and the two venture inside. Almost immediately, his shield absorbs a left-behind pickaxe, unlocking new abilities for him, though some remain inaccessible. Naofumi tests a new shield ability, the rope shield, finding it more useful than initially expected. Another newly unlocked skill, air strike shield, seems promising, so he decides to try it out against a practice target. Naofumi focuses, feeling the power of the ability, as the large shield hovers in the air, ready to defend Raphtalia and him. Once the experiments with the shields conclude, Naofumi and Raphtalia proceed deeper into the mine, looking for valuable ore. They soon encounter a fierce black dog with two heads, a formidable opponent lurking in the shadows. Naofumi braces himself against the creature's attack, knowing his survival hinges on his defense skills. Despite Naofumi's efforts, the dog almost reaches Raphtalia. In a tense moment of bravery, Raphtalia manages to stab the dog, crippling it further. She refuses to run, showing her determination. Under Naofumi's watchful eye, Raphtalia imbues her strike with all her strength, defeating the dog. Upon the dog's collapse, Naofumi and Raphtalia gain substantial experience points, which lead to their level up. They rest a moment to gather themselves, blooded but victorious, before summoning the courage to continue mining. Using the pickaxe, Naofumi digs up enough light metal to eventually sell for a good profit, ensuring they have the means to support their adventure. As days pass, Naofumi's skills and relationships develop further. His determination to get stronger is unwavering, facing each new challenge with determination. Encountering a spiny monster, a porcupine, he uses his air strike shield combined with a new skill called Shield Prison to catch the creature. Raphtalia delivers the final blow, and they start planning their next steps. With their shield growing stronger and more tools available, Naofumi and Raphtalia decide it's prudent to take a break to improve their gear. Raphtalia highlights Naofumi's appearance, pointing out his worn-out clothing and the potential impact of using inadequate equipment. Despite her concerns, Naofumi remains focused on their shared goal of survival and eventually returning home. But first, they must prepare for the upcoming trials, facing everything this world throws their way. Naofumi and Raphtalia are in the midst of a discussion, and Raphtalia is concerned about Naofumi's lack of armor, suggesting it could spell danger for him. Naofumi acknowledges her concern but feels frustrated, wanting to attack to prove his strength. Naofumi decides it's time to upgrade their equipment, purchasing new gear and maybe even some food. Raphtalia agrees, although Naofumi finds her increasing assertiveness a bit bothersome. Nevertheless, he appreciates her ability to point out his shortcomings, realizing her value for the future. A week passes, and Naofumi returns to Castle Town with Raphtalia. At the weapon shop, the owner notes a transformation in Raphtalia from their last encounter. She's leveled up, and Naofumi realizes her appearance has matured. Raphtalia has also learned some social manners through all of this. As they check out gear, Naofumi is careful about the budget, accepting a blend of function and affordability. The idea is to purchase chainmail, but Naofumi wants something custom-made instead. When the shop owner discovers Naofumi's strength alone isn't enough for typical materials like air wake, he and Raphtalia decide to gather specific items. Naofumi examines the shop owner's plans for barbarian armor, asking Raphtalia to bring in bronze, iron, and other materials collected during their outings. As they finish purchasing materials at the market, the shopkeeper comments on Raphtalia's cuteness being an advantage in haggling prices. The armor modification would include enchantments once bones were added, but the price will not drop further. Naofumi is mainly concerned about providing Raphtalia with a good weapon. The shop owner gives a magic sword to Raphtalia, acknowledging her upcoming battles. They finally leave the shop and, after a brief lunch, Naofumi and Raphtalia prepare for the next wave. At the fitting room, Naofumi is discontented with his new armor's appearance. Raphtalia assures him that he looks good, and the shop owner reassures Naofumi about the armor's intimidating look, but Naofumi remains peeved. The conversation turns affirmatively serious when Naofumi notices the Dragon Hourglass, a mystical timer essential for the upcoming wave of destruction. As Naofumi understands its significance, Motoyasu, one of the other heroes, shows up and mocks him, riling up Naofumi further. Nevertheless, Naofumi spares words and has Raphtalia defend his decisions against the scorn of these so-called companions. Conflict brews around young women, such as Raphtalia and that woman with the heroes, but Naofumi focuses on preparing for the incoming wave. Raphtalia grounds herself by Naofumi amid exchanges with others, decision-making, and weighing on upcoming events and sword handling. At the end of this narrative stretch, there's tension, and Naofumi vacates the confrontational environment with Raphtalia, heading to the fields to vent frustrations on balloon monsters. With only hours ticking down, preparing herbal medicine for the wave plays into Naofumi's continuously brooding resolve. Ultimately, as they turn in for the uncertain night, the festering suspense replaces any semblance of genuine relief. Naofumi is steeling himself for the impending wave and reflecting on Raphtalia's growing emotional intuition tied to the looming battle, which draws out the knight's insecurities tangled with fleeting courageous glimpses of strength. The world Naofumi has been thrust into isn't a game, it's vivid and uncompromisingly real. Unlike the other heroes with their stellar equipment, Naofumi is struggling just to endure. In his musings, Naofumi wonders how he'll manage with what he's got. He contemplates the precariousness of his situation, knowing he might end up dead. The intense reflections bring Naofumi's attention to his companion, Raphtalia. Previously bought as a slave, she recounts her traumatic past, illuminating the cruel cycle of being sold, bought, and relentlessly returned. Raphtalia's haunting memories depict a girl who once fought to stay alive, enduring her nightmarish existence. Yet, there's a flicker of gladness as she tells Naofumi, "I feel really lucky to have met you." It's a moment that shows the bond they've developed through shared adversity. As the clock ticks down, Naofumi braces himself. Suddenly, they're transported into a chaotic battlefield, with the sky cracked open like a mangled sheet, revealing a reddish ruination. With a tumultuous start, Naofumi finds himself surrounded by monsters crawling towards a town. There's no time to dawdle, as Naofumi and Raphtalia rush into action, heading to protect the village of Ryute from the incoming wave of monsters. Upon arriving at the heart of the battle, Naofumi quickly realizes the grim situation. Monsters inundate the village, and with Raphtalia's help, Naofumi attempts to fend them off. "I'll distract them," he exclaims, trying to buy the villagers precious moments to evacuate. As the chaos unfolds, Naofumi's focus is on defending and strategizing, using his shields to effectively combat waves of enemies. The monsters seem relentless. Undeterred and emboldened by his shield's defensive capabilities, Naofumi shouts at the villagers to organize and help fend off the fiendish creatures. Among them, an adventurer whom Naofumi previously saved joins the fray, assisting in creating a defensive line to keep monsters at bay until the evacuation is complete. A significant danger manifests as a giant zombie enters the battlefield, its presence more formidable than Naofumi experienced before. It's a tactile reminder of how critical his role is. With Raphtalia at his side, he embraces a two-pronged strategy, his shield to draw attacks, while Raphtalia delivers offensive blows. Together, they execute a plan to topple the lumbering menace. Despite the severity of their situation, Naofumi clings to his duty, assisting with the villagers' escape, even as he tangles with notions of reluctance. Watching as the monstrous threat seems to waver, he shields Ryu's inhabitants so they can withdraw without succumbing to immediate dangers. Largely thanks to the innermost strength their bond nurtured, Raphtalia successfully assists in completing the evacuation. Finally, as the formidable wave subsides, Naofumi is submerged in gratitude from the villagers. Though his reception is often marred by mistrust and scorn, saving the town felt better than being treated like a criminal, he admits internally. This moment signifies a rare acknowledgement of his embattled heroism. Returning from the battlefield, the other heroes bicker among themselves, perhaps not regarding the harsh lessons learned. But Naofumi's attention shifts to Raphtalia, who despite her exhaustion, is filled with relief, not just for herself, but for everyone they fought for. What's praised often comes from unsung concerted effort. Naofumi reflects that the tide of battle could shift unpredictably every time. This keeps him grounded in resolve to fortify against adversities future confrontations might unleash. An entire cast accompanies him, and as preparations turn to feasting within castle walls, Raphtalia's sprightly spirits shine brightly. Despite a lingering distrust swirling within him from fellow heroes, Naofumi encounters a resolute Raphtalia, delighting in hearty festival fare, optimistically munching without reservations. It's a warm vestige of humanity, their shared victories within a tiring, unyielding cycle. Then, among feasting noise comes a sharp challenge from Motoyasu, insisting by duel Naofumi sets Raphtalia free, reinforcing tension within their struggling alliances. Naofumi's reaction and decision against Motoyasu's sudden provocation will enhance responsibility already disproportionately weighted upon his crucial undertakings, yet unfold his foundational character development amidst turbulent testing with beings within intersecting reiterative diverging destinies. How they'll navigate fusing competitive thrust into culminating protecting their tethered companionship remains his struggle within composite segments continuously pieced phase by phase through adversarial yields resounding in breakthrough emergence from time-tested enduring labors awaiting reckoning reconciliations through unfolded mythic realities shaping yet forged participatory significance. Naofumi stands amidst a tense crowd, a sea of eyes on him. The king has just announced that he has heard what Motoyasu has to say, and the crowd, shifting like the Red Sea, expects Naofumi's response. Rumors fly around, accusing Naofumi of using Raphtalia as a slave. Though hurt by these slanders, Naofumi maintains that it's not unlawful, given that the shield hero is unjustly maligned. The air is thick with anticipation and accusation. The king declares a duel, leaving Naofumi with little choice, but he sees it as unfair. If Motoyasu's words are true, then maybe my order will fall. Duel. Raphtalia, filled with a mix of disbelief and stoic rage, protests fiercely, "How dare you?" Her determination is clear as she challenges the injustice and defends Naofumi. The king, however, ignores her pleas and silences her with a gag, suggesting she might be bewitched. Soldiers escort Naofumi and Raphtalia to the gardens for the duel, leaving him powerless to act. Finally, the moment of the duel arrives. Naofumi stands opposite Motoyasu, torches casting an eerie glow around them. The crowd hollers in anticipation, they think Naofumi is sure to lose. Motoyasu charges, his spear aimed to deliver a decisive blow. In that intense moment, Naofumi hardens his resolve, declaring, "Watch me, Motoyasu. I'll show you what victory really means." Motoyasu attacks with a skill, chaos stab, but Naofumi focuses on defense, managing to withstand the assault. It's a struggle, his shield deflects some of the spear's sharpness but doesn't prevent injury. The wounds are superficial, yet he is now beginning to understand Moteyasu's strength. The duel pulses with energy and defiance. Naofumi fiercely tackles Moteyasu as the two clash with determination that borders on compulsion. The spear's attacks lack effect as Naofumi's shield absorbs them. He retaliates innovatively, using his balloon creatures as a biting offensive, surprising the crowd. A throng of jeers rises as Naofumi's balloon beasts bite into Moteyasu. The garden becomes a chaotic scene, a brawl of strategy and cunning. The crowd cannot believe Moteyasu's struggle, nor Naofumi's unwillingness to surrender. However, the tide unfairly shifts. Mine, hiding within the throng, intervenes with a spell, sending Naofumi reeling backward unexpectedly. Pushing forward despite the setback, Naofumi jabs with relentless perseverance. Shielded now by tactical ingenuity, he counterattacks, drawing on the unseen force of another balloon army alongside his dog bite skill. The magic spell, however, worsens the feeble balance that kept Naofumi standing. Mine's invisible wing blow throws him off, an insidious act which the king shamelessly disregards. Moteyasu exploits the opening Mine carved, declaring pseudo-victory over a candid Naofumi. When the dust and disdain settle, Raphtalia courageously steps forth. Stripped of censorship, she declares her loyalty alongside searing truths about Naofumi, breaking her silence with, "Naofumi never made me do anything I didn't want." Her impassioned defense touches on both their dynamic and nuances lost in slander's grip. Moteyasu's misguided concept of possession and protection finds no grounding as Raphtalia assures all present of her autonomy, of her ties rooted not in contracts but choice. Naofumi is plunged into consuming rage by the turn of events, a storm of injustice despite Raphtalia's potent words in his defense. The false narratives cannot endure against the shield of sincerity she erects for him. Her assertion and command over her destiny shine radiantly, dispelling ignorance and positioning Naofumi in renewed society, not on prejudices but genuine warrant of character unsullied by lies. The king persisted, drenching judgments in a faceless political hierarchy, touting the outcome foregone. Yet, Mine's sister role release an alternate thread of truth, intertwining web orchestration by caste, control, and commentating jealousy. Raphtalia counsels Naofumi to depart, planting fortitude emboldening in what could renew trust through transparency. Leaning on humor's edge, resided within the acknowledgement of life manipulated yet earnest in shaping the shield hero's ongoing journey with honest allies holding sway. They move on, motivated by the constancy in purpose in defiance of baseless ink-spread antagonism. In a world full of uncertainty and looming threats, Naofumi stands by the girl who placed her trust in him, Raphtalia. The road ahead is fraught with challenges, but Naofumi feels the weight of a different kind of responsibility now. Unlike before, he's driven by a need to protect the trust and belief that Raphtalia has vested in him. They share a heartfelt moment where Naofumi expresses gratitude, "Mr. Naofumi." Raphtalia says softly, her belief in him etched in every word. This moment, laden with emotion, reaffirms Naofumi's dedication to standing up for both himself and Raphtalia. Realizing the complexity of feelings between them, Naofumi learns an important lesson about relationships, recognizing that reality won't play out like a fantasy or anime. There are risks and misunderstandings, but with Raphtalia by his side, Naofumi is convinced they can face any danger together. The bond they share keeps getting stronger, making each step feel like a shared conquest against an unfriendly world. Amidst the looming struggles, we turn briefly to another hero, Moteyasu Kitamura, who narrates his own story. Moteyasu, a university student, is whisked away to what seems to be another world's version of a game he's accustomed to playing. Tasked with saving this world, he brings forth his flair and eagerness, drawing in admiration from those around him, particularly the girls. He exudes confidence, his spear hero powers earning him immediate attention and requests for aid. Moteyasu teams up with Mine and others, setting off to combat various threats. Mine is charming yet seemingly manipulative, and the team dynamics evolve with each new addition. The manga-like interactions showcase Moteyasu's gallantry and aptitude for fighting, but beneath his bravado lies a naivete regarding his companion's true characters. As he levels up with his female party members, he indulges in celebrations and whimsical character interactions, showcasing his frivolous side. When a quest leads them to protect a carriage amidst a famine in a struggling village, Motoyasu's actions and comedic flair paint an image of a hero somewhat disconnected from the graveness of their predicament. Even in the face of struggles, light-heartedness prevails, although underneath it all stirs a misunderstanding about loyalty and true friendships. The narrative delves into Motoyasu's interactions, revealing moments of misperceptions and his tendency to see things through a rose-colored lens. As he and his party navigate dungeons and confront monsters, there's a growing realization that not all is as it seems. When moving through a dungeon, Motoyasu's confident approach remains intact until a sudden mishap sends them tumbling into unexpected circumstances. Separated and temporarily disoriented, a chance overhearing of disparaging words from his own companions unwittingly highlights how his amicable nature is occasionally taken for granted. Despite this, Motoyasu's optimism persists. He and his group manage to locate a crucial item, a miracle seed, required to alleviate the village's plight, although the seed's true potential lies in its nurture and planting, echoing motifs of encouragement and growth. Returning triumphant, there's a celebratory atmosphere embracing Motoyasu's actions of heroism. Yet, with contrasting attitudes to class advancement procedures and more impending escapades, the nature of friendships and allegiances Motoyasu places his faith in could eventually turn challenging. A glimpse into another side story reveals a youthful group led by a spirited child venturing into fields for a day of running, showcasing friendships unmarred by darker shades or forthcoming trials. Innocent competitions and playful interactions exemplify bonds built purely on shared joy and camaraderie, untouched by the wielding shadows faced by the older heroes. These two intersecting tales convey the varying shades of heroism, challenge the notion of trust, and tread through the fantasies spun within and without this new reality. As Naofumi steadily develops resilience and Motoyasu naively dances with unscathed idealism, the unfolding saga demands unwavering determination and awareness, not only of the monsters in deserted ruins but also the hidden complexities between allies and adversaries alike. In a quiet village, everyone needs a break from their games. Keel seems upset, chasing after his friends as they decide to rest. They let their mothers take care of the heavy lifting, leading to spontaneous sketches of their vibrant childhood. Rafana, one of the girls, and another boy converse, pondering relationships and who they might marry. Keel, probably the popular kid, jokes about marrying like someone strong, like the legendary shield hero. Rafana is a close friend, gentle and into historical tales of heroes, hinting at admiration for those who protect others. Up until now, life seemed like it would be an endless series of carefree days. However, that serenity shatters suddenly with a thunderous sound and shaking ground. Something alarming unfolds, a magical rift in the sky, and its unsettling howl stops the village in its tracks. Panicked yet hopeful, Raphtalia's family gathers the kids to return to safety. Her father has rushed from a nearby town, urging everyone to flee. They hear how terrifying monsters rise and swarm areas through gaping fissures overhead. The panic introduces a new reality of danger and survival they haven't known. Nearing their village, they discover they must evacuate quickly. The entire scene grows more unsettling. As they flee, Raphtalia's apprehension grows when cries of terror erupt. In fear, everyone regards the unsettling presence approaching, a horrifying skeletal figure with a deadly aura. Chaos descends, fireballs of sparkling light from Raphtalia's father serving to slow the skeletal menace. Raphtalia's mother holds fierce resistance with a hatchet. It's a desperate attempt, holding back growing hordes, while the evacuation begins. However, their efforts aren't without casualties. The monstrous entities overpower their defenses, gripping villagers in terror as they rush to the sea. Raphthalia witnesses a grotesque three-headed canine pulling fighters into the ocean, including her parents. She's shoved to a cliff's edge while she watches, helpless as nightmarish chaos unfolds. Despite leaning heavily on courage, even Raphthalia submits to fear when waves crash around her. In a moment where everything stands still, forlorn prayers lose out against fearsome reality. Her parents face inevitable demise with heavy hearts, resolving within worsening noise. Raphthalia descends steadily to watery depths before finding herself back ashore. Pooled nightmares rest along the beach, fellow villagers stranded like beaten debris against nature's dull backdrop. Once gathered amidst survivors, Raftalia attempts one quiet task: graves for her lost parents. Each action is weighed heavily by recent grief. It's an act of remembering and exchange. Don't forget to smile. Be nice to others. She embraces that wisdom dearly, fingers tracing over quiet earth with resolve regardless of how shaken her grip might become. Her solitary work resets resolve within reeling villagers gathering nearby, spiriting stronger resolve than terror ever weathered. Raftalia anchors herself again with only clean breaths amidst tear-wrought digestion. Interestingly, when troubles whirl around seized heartstrings, her inner voice reminds Raftalia persistently of the elders. Their guidelines spring eternal, resonating deeply as cracks found towers distant lay crack before suddenly fractured earth and skies felt anew. Steady reason dialogue softly screaming when Raftalia acts remembrance besides clung brotherhood now dauntingly tender dew once left anchors enhanced anew. As votes memorize faith assured through legion mandate relief mounts graciously rupturing interior turmoil ardent drove among people alien earnest warm. All clustered companions kindly remark, vowing flotillas rebirth shall warp new spears without hubris amid staunch lower wear seeking older reciting of timid greater outrider quaysider skirts undone. The village aims resolute redemption's magnitude diminished Herculean spiked fears born courage clear fleet proven. People, once warming one albeit embrace defenses like wandering dwell securely topped farthest cleared unity lending strength enterprise whole they attempt feebly places understanding connected deepened groans led faithful vibes sounded tougher necessarily bought redundancy taken eyes strong permitted posted gift in test. Nevertheless, restored flag stamps unity unbound. Constancy assured her emboldened Raftalia squeezing inwardly expansive path issuing downward trembling whispers signifies outsized accomplishment never beleaguer arch. Even when sinister others, vile, uncertain strangers whisper Colonel travails wound left lands, flaunt weapons extend survey praying lies cast dry treachery, terror hold sand firmly asserted bond a spur. Rational urgency signs seek reverted cry, lifting guardians understanding together hoped ventured tide, little cautious overlapping regained chambers long barely evoked stirred walls tight gardener flames fit interval spell who've marshaled man founding exercise service introduces deficient escort. Whereas vital echoes drew reckon strengthen distant congregating prepare us hewn stoic defensive blockade, muster tepid cur ears relieve arguments grun moved staunch youth coolly newly born sobering gains cautious guard treble sovereign op. Initially alarm grows wider aimed her arms steadied rebuffed hard, pursued spirits repeat cramped reinforcements riddled imaginable closer windows joined attempt soothe lest memory served. Awareness grows pertinent nearing Raftalia wait believe evil ban recessed austere given trouble earth poked raised entirety hostile panic compounded near racked strangers, swept form desire only halts bound reigns unless door gathered intensified thick began havoc region unlike peaceful routine began. Awful detours greed spread leech grasp petty echoed solutions vibrant heartfelt fingers bore cruel inducements eros unbelievable capacity descended fragoned, while limpid power holders discharged unimproved life knotted quarrel. Treasured caring peering populace split stayed timers hileless slight reverse air brisance flinch myself performed despair moisture formed fissures splayed comfortable though semblance wheeled sparse befeldo. Lia's crest solemnity virtue prevails reopening distant clan masked near stood resolved consoledict. Recognition founded for sect gate sown damp grasped fittings joy interbudget attended. Events fair tire imposed tall precious echoes now warmly judging inner kin reels watched echo held empty revolving worlds. In the eerie dimness of a small village, Raftalia recalls the day her life changed forever. Her stomach rumbles as she stands in a weapon shop, watching her new owner, Naofumi, a man feared by many, barter with the shopkeeper. Raftalia senses tension in the air, aware of the curse marked on Naofumi's chest. Despite her fear, Raftalia is grateful for the meal Naofumi provides, a simple thing her past life as a villager and later a slave had deprived her of. Naofumi notices her gaze fixed on a lunch pouch and questions her intent. "You looked like you wanted to eat it." "What's the problem?" he asks, offering her the food. Her past haunts her, the belief that outsiders were threats making this a confusing kindness. "Why are you feeding me?" she wonders aloud. Naofumi replies casually, "I already told you. You looked like you wanted to eat that." The starvation of her past makes Raphtalia reluctant. Can she trust this new life? The urge to resist is strong, but hunger is stronger. Naofumi waits, hand gesturing to the food as reassurance, and with a mixture of fear and hope, she tentatively reaches out. Tasting the meal, tears well in Raphtalia's eyes unbidden. Years of neglect melt away as she experiences a moment of warmth and kindness she hadn't dared to dream of. Is it good? Naofumi asks softly. Despite herself, she nods, the words escaping as yes. Her unexpected happiness catches her off guard, yet there's a warmth in his acceptance of her vulnerability. The memory of her parent stands tall on the cliffs of her mind. Father! Mother, she sobs internally, yearning for their presence amidst silent fields. She remembers Naofumi holding her, gently comforting her burgeoning tears, echoing her parents' past reassurances. In Raphtalia's dreams, vivid fears transform as Naofumi's true identity shines through, a shield hero, feared and revered. He'd given her medicine, protection, bought her equipment even with his limited resources. Memories of another slave, Rafana, flood back. But unlike before, there's a beacon of hope. The hero gave me a bag, Raphtalia remembers, her heart fluttering with newfound strength. Within the bag were mere tokens, a broken knife and remains from that significant flag, symbolic of resilience lost yet preserved. Raphtalia stands resilient, whispering to the spirit of her lost friend, Rafana. Here, take it, she murmurs, in a dreamscape where Rafana smiles brightly. Naofumi was someone both she and Rafana once yearned for, unrelenting against the world's injustices yet unexpectedly tender-hearted. Hope surges as Raphtalia decides to watch over Naofumi too, choosing to follow his bold path forward toward an uncertain future tinged with the promise of justice. It's a pact sealed with resilience, to watch out for you and protect her precious memories. Together they build back what was lost. We can't stop, Raphtalia resolves as the echoes of foreboding waves loom ever closer, ominous reminders of fateful events waiting to unfold. Determined to protect others from the cruelty she'd endured, she pledges loyalty and strength to Naofumi, the shield hero whom destiny had entrusted with her care. As the pressing need to grow stronger rises with the coming days, Raphtalia's steadfast resolve never falters. They need to focus on leveling up, making money, and preparing for the prophesied wave of calamity soon to strike. Her past filled with darkness, survival now holds meaning with Naofumi beside her. Raphtalia knows she can face the tides and swells of life's unmerciful sea, determined to fight back with every lesson life as a shield hero's companion would teach her.